star-cross and take my mans out, just kill yourself. In the trenches, 40 on my hip, I had to fix my...
Man, destroy FC Barcelona forever. Jason, let's spam this video. Jason, I got you, bro.
It should be me when we do El Clasico.
You never been on Barcelona. You know dang well that.
No, I'm talking about when I was on Real Madrid. It was El Clasico.
Danger. That's because one man in only a matter of years made enough wrong decisions to destroy the club. From overspending on bad transfers and high wages that put them in massive debt, to trying to ruin the names of Barcelona legends to make himself look better. But his biggest mistake was a scandal that has made Barcelona be labelled as cheaters and liars. FC Barcelona have tried to cover their tracks and fix the mess, and while it might seem fine on the outside, the truth is Barcelona are in a horrible position, having sold their future and have made a massive gamble to try and keep the team afloat. Now they are just one guilty verdict away from having a legacy as European giants turned to massive frauds. So how did we get here?
It all started when they had the...
In 2015, Barcelona won the prestigious Champions League, their fourth in just 9 years.
With the handball jump? When you tried to do the header and then Messi had handballed it.
I'm not sure.
Or something like that. My club got destroyed by one. It's unfair. How do you not have enough money to sign Messi? Though, like, what the fuck they doing? Not for real. They spending on random shit. They just getting it.
And they did that with the help of Neymar Jr. Some might say he's the reason for Barcelona's success, but what if I told you he's the reason for Barcelona's downfall? Neymar joined Barcelona in 2014 for a reported 57.1 million euros, but that wasn't true. El Mundo put out an expose claiming that his transfer was close to 100 million euros and that Barcelona had lied about his transfer fee. But after an official investigation was launched into this mysterious transfer fee, then Barcelona president Sandro Rosell resigned, calling it an unfair and reckless accusation of misappropriation, which has resulted in a lawsuit. This is red flag number one. They lied about a transfer fee, maybe as a symbolic victory or to avoid taxes, but either way, there was something suspicious going on. Neymar's official fee was changed to 86.2 million euros, and now Barcelona needed a new president. So Rosel's right-hand man, Josep Maria Bartomeu, was given the presidency, which would turn out to be the single most destructive thing that has happened in FC Barcelona history. Bartomeu was president, but he wasn't a football guy. He didn't know much about the sport, but he had now been given all of the power of one of the biggest teams in world football. But even after Neymar's controversial arrival, they still won the Champions League. So how did they collapse? Well, once again, Neymar is at the center of it. Neymar had won everything at Barcelona, everything but the Ballon d'Or, finishing on the podium twice. He knew the only way he was going to win it is if he stepped out of Messi's shadow and led his own team. So in 2017, PSG activated Neymar's release clause of 220 million euros, a world record transfer, which yes, left Barcelona with a massive hole in their attack, but now they had 220 million euros to replace Neymar, plus invest in the squad. They had their eye on a young French winger, Ousmane Dembele, just 19 years old from Dortmund, who was talented beyond belief. Amazing dribbler, could create lots of chances and scored a few goals too. He was a good immediate replacement, plus he was young. But bear in mind, Dembele wasn't their only option. There were some good wingers in the market, including another young French winger, Kylian Mbappe, who was offered to Barcelona, but they were set on bringing Dembele. Bartomeu went into negotiations only willing to spend 80 million euros, but Dortmund wouldn't go lower than 150 million euros. Instead of Bartomeu cutting his losses and going in for a different winger, he caved. 105 million euros up front and 42 million euros in add-ons. Over half of the Neymar money was spent on one 20-year-old. Problem was, Dembele suffered a hamstring injury just 2 games into his Barcelona career, which set him out for 5 months. So Barcelona still kind of needed an attacker. They had their eye on Coutinho for a while, so in January 2018, they pulled the trigger and signed the elite attacker. 160 million euros. That's right, in the span of 6 months and in just 2 transfers, Bartomeu and Barcelona spent all of the Neymar money plus 80 million euros.
Bro, they use Neymar money too wild, crazily, dog. They just going out just spending money on random people, random stuff at this point. Come on, bruh. Then 2 months? It's been the 2 months.
If anything, they might as well have a crash out season. Bro, they just lose until Dembele back and then build around them.
Oh God, though, bro, because that doesn't make no sense unless this dude like, what? Bro, come on, dog. And then the person that's the manager of the junk, bro, he still really know stuff about football, so he just spending money. Boy.
They were running through money as if it was nothing, but the worst part is neither of these three players were even fractionally worth their price tag. Dembele struggled to adapt to Barcelona's sophisticated style of play and was not focused on football. Instead, he spent more time playing PlayStation, eating McDonald's, and turning up late for training. That lack of discipline is what led to him having so many injuries. As his team physio said, he doesn't respect the rest periods. There's no structure around him. In 6 years, he missed 141 games through injury, clearly showing he wasn't worth the money. And as for Coutinho, he didn't tactically work either. He couldn't play out wide or control the midfield. His best position was the number 10, which was reserved for Messi, so Coutinho's weaknesses were on full display, and his rank in the team dropped, becoming a bench player after just 1 year at the club. Two 150 million euro players that just didn't work. So you think, learn from the mistakes to not sign anyone for that much money, especially because the only reason you could afford to do it in the first place was the money you got from Neymar, which has now run out. Except Bartomeu is a clueless idiot, and they still needed an attacker to pair with Messi and Suarez. And so in 2019, they went in for a 28-year-old Griezmann. They activated his 120 million euro release clause, and now they had their third 9-figure attacker in as many years. And did it work? Obviously not. Another tactical misfit with Griezmann playing some games.
They all went to PSG, didn't they?
Bro, cause I don't know if the Griezmann go to PSG too. But the thing is, bro,
Griezmann didn't he? I swear he went to PSG.
Damn, but I thought Griezmann was good. He
did work out at Barcelona.
I don't remember we seen him at Barcelona. I don't
Exactly.
remember seeing him at Barcelona, so that means he did do good.
Exactly.
Because I remember seeing him on a different team.
Exactly. Wasn't he on PSG? Nah, he on France.
Bruh, dang, bruh.
Where did he go?
I really don't freaking know. Put in the chat.
A position he didn't feel comfortable.
Okay, what celebration?
After just 2 years at Barca, Griezmann went back to Atletico, where they eventually bought him for 20 million euros, 100 million less than they sold him for. Truly stupid business from Barcelona. Same thing with Coutinho, who was out the door after 3 seasons at Barcelona for a fraction of the price, and surprise, surprise, so was Dembele. The question is, why were Barcelona spending 9 figures on players who didn't fit the system? That's because the main man in charge of the transfers, Bartomeu, knows nothing about football. Instead of letting the coaches have a real say in signings, the president and the board make that choice, and Bartomeu just buys the newest, shiniest players to show off in front of the Barca club members while spending stupid money to do so. And when they realize the signing was a complete waste of money for a player who doesn't fit in the squad at all, they sell the players for a fraction of the price just a few years later, losing hundreds of millions in the process. They even had to loan 85 million just to sign Griezmann. They were outspending their earnings, and it wasn't just those 3 attackers that were eating into their finances. From 2014 to 2019, Bartomeu spent over €1 billion in transfers. Their signings: Mateu, 20 million, Arda Turan, 41 million, Alex Vidal, 22 million, Andre Gomez, 50 million, Paulinho, 40 million, Malcolm, 41 million, Neto, 26 million, and many more terrible signings. Guys who didn't play and who didn't last at the club for more than 3 years. They couldn't afford to keep spending like this, and sooner rather than later, it was going to severely hurt them. They also spent 86 million euros on Frankie de Jong. Not a bad player, but a ridiculous overspend. But the worst part about it all, it wasn't just the transfers that were costing them. Barcelona's wage bill was sickening, bleeding them dry. Umtiti, who started less than 60 games in 6 years, was on...
Who the freak was that, dog? I thought I'm Davis.
230K per what?
Let's say per week, I think.
230,000 per week. Coutinho was on 450k per week. Vermaelen, who barely saw the pitch, was on 145,000 per week. Backup players you haven't even heard of were making 4 to 8 million euros a year, with Barcelona's annual payroll in 2019 peaking at 314 million euros, the highest in world football. They were losing money at an impossible rate, but one contract really dented the team's finances. Now, Messi is the greatest footballer in history, but his contract at Barcelona was killing the club. He had a 4-year contract worth 555 million euros. They simply couldn't afford it. During Bartomeu's reign, it wasn't just finances that were taking a hit. Their on-pitch performances were poor. Their expectation for Barcelona is always to challenge in Europe, and with Messi on your team, winning it should always be a possibility. But under Ernesto Valverde, in the 17-18 season, they reached the quarterfinal of the Champions League against Roma, and after winning the first leg 4-1, they were comfortably favourites for the semi-final. But they got complacent, and in the second leg, Roma fought back and embarrassed Barcelona Barcelona, winning 3-0 thanks to a late winner by Manolas, and Roma were through on away goals. A bad comeback loss to have, which only got worse. The 18-19 Champions League campaign also made it to the semi-finals where they faced Liverpool, and after winning 3-0 in the first leg, you would think once again it was going to be a comfortable trip to the final, but nothing about this story is good. Liverpool went into the second leg with no Firmino or Salah, yet they beat Barcelona 4-0 to reach the Champions League. A spot that Barcelona should have taken. They blew back-to-back 3-goal leads in the Champions League. That was May 2019. In January 2020, they lost to Atletico Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup 3-2, and Ernesto Valverde was sacked. But all of this losing and overspending and mismanagement was slowly creeping up on Barcelona. The reason Bartomeu spent loads, even taking out loans and deferring transfer payments, is because Barcelona are the highest earning club in the world. So he purposefully spent money they didn't have because in his eyes, they were going to make it back. It was his excuse for reckless spending and putting Barcelona into massive debt because he thought he could get away with it. But in March 2020, everything came crashing down. La Liga was suspended due to the pandemic, which meant all that revenue that was supposed to get Barcelona out of debt was gone. They lost tens of millions in ticket sales, museum tours, media and TV rights, and even sponsorships. And Bartomeu had no way of fixing it. In fact, he didn't even try. He kept doing his dodgy dealings, more concerned about balancing the books.
Wait, so he did not get... How did he not get fired from being in this position? How? Mm-hmm. How is he still being this... How, bro, is he still being the manager for this team, bro? He can't, bro. Bro, it's not working, bro. They didn't understand, no, he was the problem. The fuck is happening?
Better than they were, swapping Artem Pjanic in a very shady deal. During this time, Barcelona also had to deal with a new manager, Quique Setién. During his time, his most memorable game was easily not just the most embarrassing loss in Barcelona history, but maybe in the history of the Champions League. Bayern Munich versus Barcelona. A one-game tie where Bayern beat the brakes off of Barcelona 8-2. It was painful to watch supposed European giants get bullied and manhandled like this. To make it even worse, Coutinho, the guy who cost Barcelona 160 million euros and was deemed as unwanted, was on loan at Bayern and scored twice against his parent club. He even went on to win the entire Champions League. This was the final straw for Messi. No longer could he be a part of this disaster of a football club. Bartomeu had the choice to let Messi go, is what Messi wanted, and would have freed up 150 million in wages and maybe even a decent transfer fee to go with. But Bartomeu knew how this would look to the board. Him being the president to let Messi go would have hurt his stock and ruined his chance at rerunning, so he refused. The man who put Barcelona in literal hundreds of millions in debt had the chance to instantly make back hundreds of millions in the worst time in club's history, and he didn't do it because it might make him look bad. He didn't care about the club, and he was willing to do anything to put himself ahead of the club and make himself look good. That was on full display during the Barca-gate scandal. In March 2021, Bartomeu was arrested after he was accused of secretly paying a media company to do online work for him. This work consisted of slandering the names of Messi, Piqué, Xavi, even Pep Guardiola, and to make himself look better in the public eye. He was eventually cleared of all charges, but who would put something like this past him given his extremely shady background? All was being laid out and revealed into how damaging he really was for the club, which is why in October 2020, the board voted no confidence in Bartomeu and he resigned immediately. But it was way too late. The damage had been done and the team was in bad shape. Their finances hit an all-time low as the pandemic still affected much of their revenue streams. In fact, in the 2021 season, they lost 555 million euros in 1 year. They brought in a new president, Jean Laporta, while he held a press conference to highlight how bad the damage really was, and in August 2021, he revealed the club were in 1.35 billion euros worth of debt, and that the club was spending 110% of the club's income on wages, which La Liga has a salary cap at 70%. Due to the salary cap and debt, Messi couldn't re-sign even if he wanted to, and their all-time greatest player was leaving on a free because of this. This situation was getting seriously out of hand. The former Barcelona CEO said Barcelona were technically bankrupt in March 2021. They even still owed money for the transfer of Coutinho, Malcolm, Frankie de Jong, and more. And yes, behind the scenes, Barcelona were a mess, but now you can see it on the pitch, in the manager, and in the players. That 2021 season, they struggled badly, finishing third in the league. The same season, they let Suarez go basically for nothing to Atletico Madrid, and he won the league with them. And in the 21-22 season, they were embarrassed in the Champions League group stage.
That nigga went to freaking Atletico Madrid too, bro. Why the fuck? Everybody just leave. Everybody had to leave that bit. Better leave that bit.
By Bayern and Benfica, failing to even make it to the knockouts. Later on that season, Xavi was brought in. Leave with them. And in the 21-22 season, they were embarrassed in the Champions League group stage by Bayern and Benfica, failing to even make it to the knockouts. Later on that season, Xavi was brought in, a tiki-taka disciple, to try and bring back the Barca style of play and some life into a very, very dead team. But current president Joan Laporta had serious work to do. He had to somehow solve €1 billion debt. Well, the dark truth is he had to make a deal with the devil to repay this mountain of debt. See, Barcelona had two ways to try and recover this debt. One was the breakaway Superliga, which failed. In fact, Barcelona are still rallying for the Super League to this day. They did have one more doomsday option: sell the club and its debt with it, and move on from fan ownership. Sir Jim Ratcliffe inquired about owning, even offering 2 to 3 billion for a new stadium and 50% ownership. But Laporta wasn't ready for that just yet. So here's how he actually fixed it. They sold 25% of their La Liga broadcast revenue rights for the next 25 years for just over 600 million. 24 million per year, which might be a discount considering 25% of Barcelona's revenue in the 2021 season was 40 million, meaning they're potentially losing 16 million per year in revenue. This move did help them in the short term, yes, but in the long term it could cost them hundreds of millions. I mean, this is a deal for the next 25 years. They also sold 25% of Barcelona Studios for 100 million, as well as 49% of Barcelona's merchandising operation. Once again, a short-term fix. Yes, they might have food for today, but they could starve tomorrow. But the biggest deal of them all was a massive deal with Spotify, worth 62.5 million a year until 2026 to become their main sponsor. The brutal truth is, Laporta didn't have much of a choice but to pretty much sell the future of their money to try and fix now. Yes, they sold the family jewelry, but it was probably the only thing they could do. So what did Laporta do with that money? He invested it back into the squad. In the 2022 transfer window, he spent 45 million on a 34-year-old Lewandowski, 50 million on Koundé, and 58 million on Rafinha. It seemed out of nowhere one day Barcelona were broke, but now they were spending more than anyone in Europe. With those new signings and investments and Xavi as manager, Barcelona won La Liga in the 22-23 season. They did crash out in the Champions League group stage once again, but nevertheless, the improvements of the team were showing, and it looked like
at least this coach got more sense right here. He actually know what the freak he's doing, and he actually know how to spend some money right.
Almost no time, Barcelona won Carrera case. A case of Bartomeu and Rosell between 2001 and 2018, paying a company that belonged to Vice President of Spanish refereeing millions of euros. Negreira's testimony said, Barcelona paid me to make sure no refereeing decision was made against them, which is to say, everything to be neutral. Which sounds pretty damning to me. This might be the final nail in the coffin for this Barcelona team. Sevilla president has cut ties with Barcelona, fans are mocking Barca due to the allegations, and their reputation and success are being called into question. If they're found guilty on this, they could face punishments of disqualifications, point deduction, even stripping of titles, but they are almost guaranteed to have to pay a hefty fine for charges related to corruption and bribery. A team with already rocky finances having to pay massive fines would definitely hurt this team massively. There doesn't really seem to be a way out of this for Barcelona anymore. They tried to fix Bartomeu's mess, but this doesn't seem like one they will get away with. Bartomeu has been involved in too many cases of corruption and shady business, and now Barcelona's dark truth is finally coming to light.
That be video, bro. I ain't on cap.
That was a crazy video.
What the I didn't even know all that done happened, bro. That dang, bro. That dude sold, bro. Bro, you freaking sold, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Put in the chat if y'all think Barcelona will come back from that big old drought. What's that coach put him in, bro? Put in the comments, you know what I'm saying? Put in the comments what they need. Because, like, that dude ruined their whole history, bro. Like, come on, dude. You ruined their whole freaking history, dog.
Heard you one time to the mob. Heard that you trying to get involved with it. Heard that you trying to come by.